Welcome, I'm Kenneth Andre, Tenjutsu Master and Mystic Messenger. Everything that I share and say and do is for a reason. If there sounds like a contradiction, there isn't. Investigate further. Hope you're all doing well out there. Okay. So I've got a few things I want to share with you in connection with what Chris has been sharing with us from See the Light. Thank you, brother. Amazing videos. I urge you all to go to the channel See the Light by Chris. Absolutely amazing. Now, listening to Chris's previous video, he mentioned about the mimics. I mentioned about the mimics last year when I talked about the shadow people. Many years ago, after the activation of my pineal gland, it's the only way I can explain it, something happened in me after a practice I learned from ancient wise prophets, going into Sanskrit and ancient texts, but sacred and secret Sanskrit exposed to me from Father. And I was doing these meditation practices and I knew that there was an activation within me, my pineal gland, which nearly killed me, as I mentioned. It was horrific. I become hypersensitive with a depth perception that was so enhanced I could literally hear people's thoughts, read their amorisms, see images and signs and symbols everywhere. I just had this heightened ability to receive data. It's the only way I can explain it. And receiving these revelations, going into all this sacred and forbidden text, the occult knowledge, studying simonology, interpreting the esoteric, and I was doing stuff with sacred geometry and sacred mathematics that I know was unlocking more doors within me and the veils were coming down and I was receiving memory, as I mentioned in my channel. I was in my bedroom and I remember coming into these worlds and enjoying it, but this female entity said, not yet, not yet, like I'm not supposed to remember yet until that appointed time. So it's funny listening to Chris with the things he was saying in connection with what I'm going through. I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. So I started seeing things totally different with the revelation that I'm in a very real, organic, biological, AI simulated matrix reality, which I've been shouting out last year in this channel. I could see it. I learned about the psychological makeup. Father took me through a thought exercise with the advanced technology with AI years ago, with advanced graphics, search engines, graphic engines, etc. And I did this whole exercise where I would see, and I was seeing with certain presentations, how the, should we say, digital in presentations with AI, advanced engines where the graphics are so good that it would be undistinguishable from our reality. And with AI and VR, I could see things on a deeper, profound level because of my hypersensitivity. With the Sanskrit and the mysteries of the Bible and emerald tablets now open to me, after my mystical experiences, I could see the matrix. I learned about the 5 archetypes, which I explained about last year, which makes up all of humanity. I started learning about sacred mathematics and quantum physics. I could learn about the archetypes and the characteristics through studying demonology that these type of people were playing in the host body system, to the point I could see these entities behind the mask, like in the movie, which is an allegory, the Men in Black. Because these were phantom creatures, as told us in the Bible, which is also revealed in a court system when you study about law, which I did a bit of that. You need a representative because you are a fictitious creature. And by the programming, the beast coming out of the deep, out of consciousness, out of code, the matrix, you are an entity. And I could start seeing these entities. Right. And this led to, again, more of this weight that was upon me. Because at this point, I was broken and torn to pieces. Now, I'll give you a bit more. I'll give you additional information in regards to this, because I keep saying it. You've got to bear in mind, when I was asleep playing as the first earthly man, Adam, I was serving in the British Armed Forces and had this ninja alter ego soldier personification. Because of my upbringing, I wanted to become like this weapon to protect myself and my family, because I was aware the world that I'm in can be very cruel from the presentations I received as a child. And I was not going to stand for it. Yet, here I am, going through remembrance and awakening. We're told in the Bible, wake up and let the light of Christ be on you. I am being stripped from the Holy Spirit, as told us in the Bible, of now the job where I had security, a pension. I was wearing brand clothes, I had my own car, I had friends. I was being stripped of it all, literally. And as time went on, the friends, my army mates that I used to depend my life on, would now scorn at me, laugh at me, think I was insane. And all I wanted to do was talk about certain subjects, but these subjects that was now being presented to me by Spirit, no one wanted to talk about it. I was like, what's going on? Where am I? Then I noticed family and friends literally changing. I was going through mystical experiences and seeing strange anomalies. And this was breaking me. And this was after I was tried and tested. I'd give all this up for God, for truth, for light. And yet my family, we're still all together. And this subtle voice come, especially with the things that I was learning, because I was in awe. My father said, you need to be strong now to carry on. I've got you and your family safe. And certain individuals had to fall asleep so they could awaken again, which I'm waiting for. But now I'm at this point where I'm stripped of everything, literally everything. And I'm thinking, how am I not having a mental breakdown with the veils being lifted, going down all these rabbit holes, going into the conspiracy communities, listening to all their material. And I've been a part of these communities many years ago, making these assumptions, interpreting things wrongly, but learning simology from Father, I got to understand it and moved away. Going into religious indoctrinations 3 times, as I've mentioned. Coming out of all this, putting on a new creature, coming into remembrance, having more revelation. I am wounded because through this process, I also had spiritual attacks and things happen to me that was displeasing to me. This calamity and me thirsting for love, etc. And I was going through so much. Now, as I was going through this, I was on my own. And I had to keep fighting and fighting because I knew that God was the key and the truth to everything, to peace, to a wonderful end result. And as I mentioned, I did this creative visualization with the imagery that I received from Father, where I was locked in this trance, this creative visualization where I was literally back in this other place. And I say back, there's a reason why I say that. As I was coming out of this creative visualization, which is my home, Father grabbed my consciousness. I couldn't get back to my body. And he said, don't leave this place. And I said, I won't. And he was saying to me, you hold on to this image, this place. You be a loyal imager. And of course, more things started happening, to the point I got so distressed one day. I was praying, and Father, I saw these hands at the back of my head grab this cord and cut it. After that, the calamity stopped. It came with a price. I was totally disconnected, disassociated from this world. If I tried to get a job or I tried to join some sort of social circle, strange anomalies would happen. I could clearly see I was cut away from the matrix, from this old binary system. Now, my mum has been a rock for me, and my sister. I know they are and were sent to be with me during this process to help me. And I'm very grateful to them. I couldn't do it without Father, my mum, my sister, and my friends that are now coming into my experience. And I'm so grateful to Father for that. As I mentioned, when I started this, I was on my own, fighting these battles again and again for years now. And it's only recently, with Jacob and these other individuals popping up, and Chris, who is in like mind, it's like I'm on all fours. I've been fighting this battle, and it's like the Endgame scene. There's this movie with Endgame where everyone starts appearing to help of the light, and I kind of get that image. I'm like, thank you. Chris has sent help. I'm like, someone has actually sent me help or prayed for me. Thank you, brother. I'm like, we're at the end, but thank you nonetheless. And it's like now I'm starting to see people popping up all over the place on YouTube talking about the subjects that no one wanted to listen to. I'm like, oh, there's this relief. Because now many are realizing I wasn't so crazy. And I've backed everything up in this channel. I've literally been stuck in this room, stuck in this house for years, a prisoner of Christ, with my mum and sister and my sons that helped me get through. I was loyal to that image. And being in this state like a hermit, I just listened to God. And boy, did demons show up at the door. But I learned to deal with it from a place of love, from wisdom, a new application of mind. And I was being schooled, trained, formed, groomed to be who I am now, where there is a new thought, word and deed. There's a new way of shining your light, just being yourself by bearing the name of the Lord in your forehead that casts away the darkness. You just have to be you and they will run. And what do I mean by you? As a multi-dimensional star-born being of the light, connected back to your source code, your original blueprint of who you are, the eternal youth, David. So I want to give some insight into this. The Shadow Forger. Chris mentioned it in connection with my profile. I'll make you aware what it is, because as I mentioned in my channel, I come from elsewhere. But I'm returning home in the expansion of myself with my loved ones, which is termed a future. The home that I left is not going to be the same when I return. This is the language we get from the spiritual text and from Father. So what is a spiritual forger? Because who I am, an Ancient of Days, an old soul, where I come from, the type of entity that I was, a higher evolved being, I had the skill sets to lay down that form myself there and still take up a body. Okay, I was still able to leave that location and create a shadow form to abide in, to be amongst men, yet not like men. Let me say it again. I was able to be amongst men, yet not like men. That's a shadow forger. As a highly evolved being, I had the skill set to still come into the host body system and help out during an end of the age. That was revealed to me last year, which I've been alluding to in my channel. After listening to Chris with his whole presentation with AI, if you now went over my videos, things will shout out at you. This is actually mentioned in the Emerald Tablets by Thoth, where men lay down their bodies to be amongst men, yet then they are not like men. I'm one of these characters. And while I was asleep, there's residue, there's markers and truth drops being presented to me. Hence, I received a ninja name during my ninjutsu practices and development in the martial arts. Shadow Forger. I'm able to take up forms in these lower realms. That's what it means. That goes in connection with the profile Chris read about me, okay? Now remember, we're told the bride, the light, those who are in Christ, those who are with wisdom, Lumen, Sophia, yes, there is other names. We are told in the Bible, marry her. She is the greatest of all. Get wisdom, marry her. So I understand what Chris is going on about. In Exodus 3:2, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, as he did me, in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. This is the bush, guys. And he looked, and behold, the bush burnt with fire, and the bush was not consumed. This is the presence of God. When you start hearing his voice and you go through these processes of transformation, you're going to feel this spiritual fire bubble up in you. I had times not just last year, but over the years, where I felt like a nuclear explosion about to be set off. It was a spiritual fire I cannot articulate and convey. I was literally on fire. I could feel these flames all around me. I literally said to my sister, sis, I'm literally on fire. I cannot explain it. I feel like I'm going to explode. This is the presence of God. Our God is a consuming flame. And so Father was lighting that flame, that rare flame that I had in me, as Chris mentioned. Now, Chris also mentioned truth mirrors truth. I talked a lot about the sacred mirror in my channel, especially last year. Well, last year I was talking a lot about, I went through a period talking about the sacred mirror. Remember I said this, like attracts like is known to like alone. We have the living amongst the dead. And now we're in an age where we don't belong. Hence we are told we will be caught up to the higher octave, the higher spheres. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the door. Why does he keep presenting the door? Okay. It was paramount that we got knowledge and wisdom, that we would escape the things that was coming upon this world. Father is going to do a new thing. We were told to be prepared and put on the new man, a new creature, that we be worthy enough to be bridged, ushered, translated and transported into the new higher octave, because God is doing a new thing. But who can perceive it? He says, I'm going to make all things new, because this has become corrupted, rotted. Chris was right. I saw this last year. Everything become infected, distorted. And I mentioned as well in my channel, you cannot operate properly as a soul traversing now in the space-time continuum for the development of the soul. Hence there was a period where we were sealed. Those who are written in the book of life, you have to return home. Now I understand why there was a should we say a collective group that was sealed, and those who were predestined had their names written in a book. Otherwise there'd be no flesh left. What is left, us, we have to be moved over into a new timeline into the new earth, as Doris Cannon as well as many others have mentioned, a birthing of a new earth with a new super race from this one. We are told to watch for the signs. So now I've got brothers and sisters popping up all over the place, like Brother Dana, who's keeping us aware. I know that he's receiving data from Spirit. I know with the watch dates, there was a lot to them, a lot I've not mentioned. If you've been paying attention to me, this will become apparent. I mentioned that the celestial events were in connection with the Spirit framework in us. Did I not? If you were listening to me and paying attention, like I said, many are not grasping what I'm saying in this channel. I said there's more to the Illuminaries, especially if you go back with the ancient interpretation of them in regards to what's going on in us. Hence, I've been watching and we've grown exponentially, and every time there's been a high watch, there's been something unlocked, released, learned, etc. And we have to keep watching because, as I mentioned, when we get to that degree, that threshold, once we pass over it, everything is about to change. You are moved into the high octave and it's going to be somewhat a bit extreme. I kept receiving over the years, there is a wonderful transformation, a shift, a branching off mentioned by Thoth, Bible, the Apocrypha, Enoch, the messages received in dreams, visions, revelation, esoteric interpretation, mystical experiences. There is a time shift, a quantum jump from one age world into the new one, the high octave that's laid before us. I'm keeping watch. And so Brother Dana is making us aware there's something important about today and tomorrow. We keep watch. Something is being activated. Whether we see anything on the world stage, I know in the invisible, something is going on. I noticed this on the 8th of this month. We have Venus in the eye of the fish with the sun on the cord. I love symbology. We also have Mercury, which is the activator. If you've been paying attention to me through my videos, things will be shouting out at you. We also have on the 8th, there's that 8-8, right? With the moon now in Leo, the Lionsgate portal under the sickle. All right. Again, every time I present this to you, it's for a reason. We keep watch. Like when I mentioned with the full moon over Virgo, I said there was something about this presentation. Of course, I didn't mention about the blood moon, and we come under attack. Let's hope that's the end of it now. I know it is. Okay, from here on, we should start seeing wonderful supernatural metaphysical transformations with our lives, with us. Okay, everything is going to be all right. There was a presentation from the Mandela Effect today that I come across where the individual from Top Gun had passed away a few days ago, whenever it was. And these individuals were saying, I thought he passed a couple of years ago with the movie. And I was like, not again, another one, of course. And I just laughed. There is a collapse of the timelines with this node because of what the fallen Brotherhood of Darkness had done. It's catching up with them, and there is these glitches, a breaking down of this realm because it's infected, it's rotting from within. But there's a new light code with the high octave, with the new earth that's being prepared for us, that is before us. Because as Father says, I'm doing a new thing, all things, I'm going to make all things new and wash this all away. We bear witness to it. He says it's like a scroll. The old heaven and earth is going to roll up and pass away, and you're going to move into the new. And I'm going to come down in you, as he is with us, and abide with you in the new age, the kingdom that lasts forever. And our eternal heavenly homes will be erected all around us. He says, watch, watch. Our loved ones and friends that we prayed for will enjoy in our lot in this new transformation that's going to occur anytime. Hence, keep watch, guys. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. This is why I wear my black top all the time, so I can see the time. Yeah, we're out of time. Okay, keep listening to Chris. Amazing videos, massive truth drops. It also goes deeper. Be present, pay attention. Love you guys. Have a great day. I'm getting tired. I think my words are struggling. Love you guys.